Now on CoastTV News.
Health hazard. Delaware's air quality takes a hit. Who's most vulnerable and how to stay safe. Park plans. Milton officials discuss the future of recreation as the town continues to grow. And a sting surge. Jellyfish trouble spreads to Ocean City. How the Beach Patrol is handling the situation.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Good evening. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Thanks so much for joining us here for CoastTV News at 11. We begin tonight with the latest on that deadly killing spree in Midtown Manhattan late yesterday. 4 people, including a New York City police officer, gunned down and another seriously injured inside a Park Avenue skyscraper. Jay Gray has a closer look tonight at the attack, the suspect, and the search for a motive in the attack.
A day later, bullet holes and stepped-up security marked the scene of the mass shooting. New Yorkers still stunned by what happened here.
Somebody walking around the streets of Manhattan with an assault rifle. It's a little bit scary.
The gunman opening fire inside a Park Avenue business tower, killing 4. One of the victims, a New York City police officer working security. Then,
male is wearing a black suit and a bulletproof vest.
As officers rush in, taking his own life, the suspect identified as 27-year-old Shane Tamura of Las Vegas. Investigators saying he had a history of mental illness. Sources telling NBC News he left a note at the scene expressing anger his mental illness may be linked to playing football in high school. 2 officials saying he mentioned CTE, a brain disease linked to head trauma, as a possible cause of his condition.
He was not an NFL player. We have reason to believe that he was focused on the NFL agency that was located in the building, and we're going to continue to investigate with our federal partners to ensure that we can find a reason.
NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell saying an NFL employee was seriously injured in the attack. Overnight, a dignified transfer carrying the body of New York police officer Didarul Islam.
He's a true blue New Yorker, not only in the uniform he wore, but in his spirit and energy of loving this city.
The 36-year-old father leaves behind 2 young boys and his wife, who is 8 months pregnant with their 3rd child. Jay Gray, NBC News.
Back here on Delmarva, a dangerous air quality alert in Delaware has many people not only feeling the heat, but also it's impacting their breathing. Air quality levels reaching unhealthy ranges for sensitive groups today. According to DENREC, Delaware is currently in an orange zone. This means ozone levels are between 101 and 150. Experts urging people to limit outdoor activity, stay in air-conditioned spaces, and avoid strenuous exercise.
Try to be in a cool environment rather than hot, humid. If your AC is not working, find a place, a friend, somebody that you can be with where there's a cooling station or of some sort.
Now, according to DENREC, air quality is expected to improve tomorrow to 77, putting Delaware in the moderate zone. We're going to take a live look outside into Lewis now and turn things to our first alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what's happening with that air quality. For example, as you take a look over Salisbury, we're going to stay in the mid-70s throughout most of the rest of the night with increasing cloud cover. We do have the active air quality alert that's in effect at least until midnight, possibly lasting a little longer than that, for places just throughout all of Sussex, from Bridgeville to Georgetown to Delmar to Ward, and it's covering the entire state, to be quite honest. So everybody's in the grips of this concern for not so great breathing conditions, but it's also inclusive of the Philadelphia area as well. So we're in the orange zone for tonight, going into tomorrow. Now, what that means simply is that keep doors and windows closed, limit outdoor activities to shorter times. For longer outdoor tasks, you have to take more breaks so that you can kind of clean out your lungs and all that type of stuff. But as far as smoke is concerned, it's not from contaminants, it's from the heat and the humidity. Now, coming up, we're going to be talking about another very humid day for tomorrow before some storms step in, believe it or not, to our rescue, Christina.
Oh, okay. Well, Milton's Parks and Recreation Commission met tonight to discuss the future of recreation in the town. CoastTV photojournalist Matt Hipsman shows us what town leaders and locals are hoping comes next.
we're looking at creating an inventory of all the town parkland and town facilities that are used for recreation. And as the town begins to grow and expand, there's going to be new opportunities to put in different parks and different recreational facilities.
Definitely a lot of things for the kids to do, especially during summertime, middle of summer, you know. And many people get bored, so it's like it'd be more options to go out and enjoy instead of being stuck up in the house in AC, which everybody loves.
If you knew what was here, you could be able to decide where to head with, you know, with your family or with your children or whatever you're doing, or with your spouse or with your pets if you knew there was a walking trail or water for fishing, which, you know, this park has all of those things.
What is it that we could possibly put into one of these other parks that's new, that's different, and is what people want, while also being economically feasible? You know, we don't want to put something in that no one's going to use.
I think it's a great place for the kids, families, people to have a nice little good time, you know.
And I brought, you know, many of my grandchildren here, so it's, you know, it's a good park.
This is one of the biggest parks that I've ever seen.
Staying in the Milton area, Democrat Alana Berry and Republican Nikki Miller are fighting for one seat in Delaware's House of Representatives. People heading to the polls this week to cast ballots early. Those two names they're seeing raising several questions. Both women are running with their education experience at the forefront of their campaigns. Now, Miller, a longtime educator and former Cape Henlopen High School principal, argues that Berry never held a teaching license. Berry, a former math teacher, says she had her initial license and then moved into roles that did not require a continuing license.
I have my credentials, I have my certification, I never let it lapse. And I would just say, speaking upon me, is that I have the experience in education to be the lead in education, if that's what we're going on.
Like many educators who transition from the classroom into leadership roles, policy, or nonprofit work, there's not a requirement to keep your certificate active. So that was true for me, as it is for many others.
Now, Miller's campaign also expressed concern over her candidate information not being on the Department of Elections website until yesterday morning. Miller says she doesn't believe it was intentional, but she understands people questioning why. Berry said she cannot speak for the Department of Elections, and the department themselves tells us it was a human error that they will work to prevent in the future. And the Delaware General Assembly says it's planning a special session this summer after backlash over property tax bills. According to the Delaware GOP, the recent property reassessment raised the average taxable value of homes by nearly 400%. And while this reassessment was statewide, recent moves by Newcastle County school districts in response to the reassessment sparking the biggest ire. House leadership saying there's no set date for the special session just yet. State officials say the session is expected to focus on the residential tax burden tied to school funding and the state's first property reassessment in more than 40 years. Now to Ocean City, where jellyfish fears continue to be a story up and down the coast, not just in Ocean City. And viewers will remember we reported on jellyfish in Delaware last week, but it seems the tides have brought those jellies down to OC. The OC Beach Patrol says it's seen a major increase in stings over the past week. And if you do get stung, they're ready to help.
Guards usually have what we call sting kill packets, and if they see the lifeguard, they can get some of them and apply to the affected area.
And Stone says the water getting warmer earlier could be to blame, as the warmest temperatures usually start in August. Pocomoke City is looking to capitalize on recent success. New businesses are moving in there, and plans to improve the city's infrastructure are in the works. But there is a sense among officials and business owners that more can be done. A business roundtable last night gave shop owners a good sense of what that could entail. They say it has them excited for what's ahead.
The thing that all business owners said that the town was missing was public bathrooms. And the city came up with some good ideas, and it was the first thing the mayor said. When we come back for our next meeting, we're going to follow up and show you what progress we've made on that.
Business owners tell us they also talked about potential grant opportunities and ways to increase foot traffic throughout Pocomoke City. And we are just getting started this evening. Coming up next, Pony Swim security. What is different about the Pony Swim this year? Plus, we'll hear from visitors who traveled long and far for the 100th annual event.
We have a couple more days of very steamy conditions ahead for Wednesday and Thursday, but then by Friday, believe it or not, the storms will come to our rescue. I'll explain what I mean by that in just 60 seconds. Well, the recent tryst with the heat and the humidity has prompted us to have to deal, well, not prompted us, has forced us to deal with unhealthy ozone and unhealthy situation with the air quality. It's supposed to get better for us by tomorrow. All things are looking towards it getting a little bit better. We want to wait and see until the stats come out. But that being said, here's where we are right now. 83 degrees, Lewis. Dew point, 77, thanks to our Irish Eyes camera. Now we'll drop to 77 by 3 o'clock with partly cloudy skies. Temps right now clocking 80 degrees in Millsboro, Georgetown, 81 in Milford, 78 in Delmar, Laurel, Gumboro. Now, as far as what it feels like, pretty close to the same right now in the middle of the night. The muggy meter's indicating that we're going to stay between very humid for Wednesday to miserable going into Thursday, Friday, till we drop off dramatically Saturday going into Sunday. That's when the rain will come to our rescue. But right now, we are in the thick of it still as we speak. Air quality alert in effect for all of Sussex, all along Highway 1 from Lewis all the way down towards Ocean View, Long Neck, Millsboro, Holyville, Georgetown, Bryan Store, Lowes Crossroads. Also Harrington, Milford, Statenville, Greenwood, Andrewsville, Edwardsville, all the other villes that are in, Kent County, and really the entire portion circling around a good portion of Philadelphia. We're in the orange for right now, which means we need to keep the doors and windows closed, limit outdoor activities for shorter times, and if you have to be outside for an extended period of time, take frequent breaks to kind of give your lungs and your airways a chance to kind of clean out. By the way, the 100th Chincoteague Pony Swim kicks off for tomorrow. We're looking for 88 for Thursday, and it's going to be humid, and we have you covered on DSN Network online as well as with the television station. We're expecting 94 for the high in Georgetown, Millsboro, 94 Cambridge and Vienna, and at least 92 in Snow Hill, Berlin, 90 for the high, Ocean City. Tomorrow, we look for a range from 88 to 92 for places like Rehoboth Beach, Dewey Beach, all of the beaches with the winds out of the west and the southwest. We will see 103s for us on Wednesday briefly, and then we have a flash of 102s at least for us on Thursday. Friday, we shouldn't have to deal with any triple-digit concerns. Finally, here's a look at the 7-day forecast. Now, here's the key. I kept saying the storms come to our rescue. You see, we're hot on Wednesday, not rescued. Hot on Thursday with a chance of rain, not yet. But when the storms really hit hard on Friday, we'll drop to 75 for the high. Then we dip down to 63 for the low. Saturday night going to Sunday and Sunday night going to Monday. And that'll be because the storms have given us what is called a rain-cooled atmosphere. Christina.
Oh, I like that. Thank you, Paul. Well, we're now less than a day away from the 100th annual Chincoteague Pony Swim, where people from across Delmarva and across the country come to the Saltwater Cowboys. Watch them guide the wild ponies across the Assateague Channel, and CoastTV spoke with one visitor in Chincoteague today. She's from New York. She says making it here for the Pony Swim was a long time coming.
It's just the most exciting thing I've ever witnessed, You get in a boat or you get in a kayak and you're right there with them.
Definitely very exciting, and the swim starts at 7 a.m. tomorrow. We're going to go to our CoastTV poll now because we want to know, what is your favorite part of Pony Penning Week? Looking at the results, 68% say the Pony Swim itself, 9% say the carnival, 15% with seeing the ponies up close, 6% say the beach walk, 2% the auction. We want to know what you think on this one, so head over to coasttv.com or use our mobile app and you can vote. You can see the updated results online. And if you want to watch the Pony Swim but you can't make it, listen up. We have coverage for you. It begins 7 a.m. tomorrow morning on the Delmarva Sports Network and anywhere on DSN+. You can watch live as those Saltwater Cowboys guide the wild ponies across the channel to Chincoteague Island. You don't want to miss the tradition, the excitement, the magic. It's all on DSN tomorrow. Now, despite all the pony swim fun, there is increased security at the swim due to alleged threats. Visitors are restricted from bringing umbrellas, large water bottles. They can only have clear bags. All items brought to the pony swim will be subject to search. Now, back in March, the town said there were online threats and that it could be nothing, but they had to be prepared just in case.
You'll notice a really large increase presence of law enforcement, whether it be dogs or police officers, undercover. Everybody's here, and we're working with them. So if you see something, say something. There's just one of those things where it's better to say something and it'd be nothing.
And Leonard says the town is working with the federal and state government to make sure everyone is safe. Coming up next, an air safety push. Families who lost loved ones in a deadly crash speak out on Capitol Hill. The change, they say, could save lives.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
The Trump administration is proposing a major rollback of a key climate policy that's guided federal environmental regulations for more than a decade now. Tuesday, the Environmental Protection Agency announced plans to repeal a 2009 finding that linked human-caused climate change to public health risks. The finding has served as the legal foundation for regulating greenhouse gas emissions from vehicles, power plants, and other sources. During an appearance on a conservative podcast on Tuesday, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin called the proposed reversal, quote, the largest deregulatory action in U.S. history. He also referred to climate change as dogma rather than science. JetBlue and United Airlines are ready for takeoff. The U.S. Department of Transportation has officially cleared the planned partnership between those two airlines. The airlines announced their partnership in May, called Blue Sky. It will allow travelers to book flights on both carriers' websites while earning frequent flyer points. JetBlue and United said that Blue Sky will take flight this fall. Also, new aviation legislation was unveiled today in response to January's deadly mid-air collision near Washington, D.C., where 67 people died when an Army Black Hawk helicopter and an American airline flight collided near Reagan National Airport. This comes 6 months after the deadly incident and 1 day before the NTSB hearings on that crash. They're going to begin in D.C. Adam Tuss reports.
Today on Capitol Hill, family members who lost loved ones pleading for aviation safety changes. Tim and Sherry Lilly lost their son Sam in the crash. Sam was the first officer on American Airlines Flight 5342.
This is not going to be Sam's legacy to die in vain. 67 really great people lost their lives that night, and there's no reason for that.
This is a very personal matter for all of us, but we hope that by being here and sharing our story, you all buy into this also.
What they want people to buy into is legislation requiring all aircraft to have transponders, known as ADS-B systems, turned on at all times. It's a system that broadcasts an aircraft's position in real time and is said to be faster than other technology in use today. The night of the crash, that Army Black Hawk helicopter did not have its ADS-B system fully operating.
The NTSB first recommended ADS-B in nearly 20 years ago. We are going to make that happen this year.
And for damn sure, they need to turn them on. They need to turn them on when they're in those airspaces. The military, if they're going to be in the airspace, they need to turn on their transponders.
Doug Lane lost his wife and son in the crash.
This is not about politics for us. It's about saving lives. Every meaningful step towards transparency, accountability, and safer skies is a victory for every family who has suffered an unimaginable loss.
The NTSB said definitively today that this new legislation will save lives.
Coming up in sports tonight, the latest softball action happening this week on the Eastern Shore. And coming up in health news, experts weigh in on the link between alcohol and cancer.
Here's a look at your golf forecast. We're expecting for another day of steamy conditions. Still somewhat good for you, but it's going to feel like 104 out on the links.
In health news tonight, breast cancer rates among women are on the rise. Doctors saying alcohol could be the reason why. Reporter Meg Tyrrell sat down with an expert and a breast cancer survivor to learn more about the risks and what they want every woman to know.
Every time I'd go to like the cancer centers, I was young. Like I was like by far, younger than everybody by like 20 or 30 years.
Alicia Korber found out after her first mammogram at age 44 that she had breast cancer.
Wow, how is this even possible? Like I'm healthy, I'm young, I take care of myself, I work out, I do all the things that you assume you're supposed to do.
Testing showed she had no elevated genetic risks for cancer, so Korber and her doctor discussed what environmental factors could play a role. He mentioned one that surprised her: alcohol.
I feel like alcohol is socially part of everyone's life. Going out with family, going out for dinner, when you're at home, like having a glass of wine while you cook, working in the city, and possibly going out for drinks after work with friends. When you're young, you don't think that that's something that could potentially, have a long-term effect on you when you're older.
Her doctor, Sam Nardello at Tufts, says Korber is not alone.
It's so socially acceptable to have a couple cocktails on the weekend, but we don't really attribute that to the real risk that it is.
A Surgeon General advisory in January sounded the alarm.
There is a causal link between alcohol and 7 types of cancer, including breast cancer and colon cancer. But what is also clear is that the majority of Americans do not know about this link between alcohol and cancer.
And data show women have been drinking more over the past few decades. Researchers say the trend is most evident in women with higher levels of education and could be driven by having kids later and by more marketing of alcohol to women. Doctors worry this could be leading to more cancer diagnoses. Breast cancer rates have been rising by 1% a year.
Over 250,000 women are diagnosed with breast cancer in the U.S., and that's too much. That's way too high. 44,000 of them, there's a direct correlation between alcohol and them developing the breast cancer.
Better detection could also be playing a role in rising breast cancer rates. Nardello notes it's not possible to know if alcohol is the direct cause of anyone's cancer, but he recommends cutting back.
What about if, you went to college in the 2000s and everybody was drinking a lot, and as a 40-year-old you're like, uh-oh, I should stop now. Does that help reduce your risk?
It does help reduce your risk. And that's nice to hear. There needs to be more research on what that is, but I'd say it's never too late.
The latest research suggests that risks for breast cancer rise even with 1 drink a day, the long-time recommended limit for women in the U.S. As a result of her diagnosis, Korber says she's made some big changes.
I know it's difficult when you're working and you've got, young kids, and you take your health and put it kind of to the back seat. And having, this conversation and hearing more about the Surgeon General's warning, I think ultimately consuming less alcohol, just makes a whole lot of sense.
In sports news tonight, Major League Baseball will soon see one of its highest attended games ever. On August 2nd, MLB announcing that the Speedway Classic, scheduled for August 2nd at Bristol Motor Speedway in Tennessee, has already sold over 85,000 tickets. This is set to surpass the previous regular season game attendance record of 84,587. That was established in 1954 when Cleveland hosted the Yankees. August 2nd will feature the Atlanta Braves and the Cincinnati Reds. It will also be the first MLB game ever in the state of Tennessee.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Good evening, sports fans. Softball is not done yet here on the Eastern Shore. We've got more USSSA softball highlights for you from the Henry S. Parker Athletic Complex. Today, it's the New Jersey Raiders and the Pennsylvania Lady Steel locking horns in an early matinee matchup at the Henry S. Parker Athletic Complex. We'll start in the top 1 here. Runner on third, Josie Hancock is going to sky one into left field. Not deep enough to get over the fence, but deep enough to drive in a run. The Raiders get on the board first and would push across a couple more runs in the inning on walks to go up 3-0. Then we go to the bottom of the first. Here's Ella Chartrand to bring the Lady Steel within 1 with this base knock. It's a 3-2 ball game. Then a couple batters later, Danielle Parson is going to put the Lady Steel ahead with this RBI base hit. They lead 4-3. Then how about we keep that rally going? Next batter, Addison Holland. She rips an RBI base hit through the infield. That would score a run and move the score to 5-3. Then the Raiders finally escape the inning thanks to this catch by Olivia Hagan. Catches his liner, steps on the bag for the double play, but This game was all Lady Steel. Here's Ayana Gagne drawing a bases-loaded walk to make it a 10-4 ball game, and that would be your final score as the Lady Steel get the job done. Don't forget also to tune in to our Chincoteague Pony Swim coverage bright and early on DSN. That'll be starting at 7 a.m. That's it for sports. Have a great night.
Now here's a live look outside into Milford. We'll have one more check on the forecast after the break. We're going to end on a positive note tonight because a cancer survivor is raising money by swimming to help cancer patients. Chris Colby, he's planning to participate in a 15-mile swim marathon at the 38th annual Swim Across the Sound. On August 2nd, Colby will swim from Port Jefferson, New York to Bridgeport, Connecticut. He's going to raise money for cancer patients and their families. Colby was diagnosed with bone cancer and has been in remission for nearly 20 years.
Big heads up for my fellow cancer survivor. Way to go, dude. Way to go. All right, so in Salisbury, tidal health camera, we're going to drop down to 75 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Air quality alert is still active for our area. George, you're going to win our umbrella for tonight. By the way, keep up the forecast by calling our weather line, sponsored by the law offices of Bruxted, Mandalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. We're staying hot and humid for Wednesday and Thursday, but then Friday the temperatures drop, and then over the weekend, we might actually get cool. Dare I say that word? Chilly, Christina?
All right. Thank you for that, Paul, and thanks to you at home for joining us for Coast TV News at 11. You can download our Coast TV News app for more local news and local weather. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon's up next, and we'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.